It's got the green avatar today. The green letter. T. T for test. T for test. Waiting for the biggest mouth slapping sounds of eating wings that could possibly happen. Oh, if you're testing your soundboard again, it ain't working. Because I don't hear you at all. All right, this is not going so well. Not going so well over here. Oh shit! Oh, he's doing the two-man. He's two-manning it. He's two-manning it. They did it on the wrong sly. That is. Would like to know what the significance is for that.
Is it not up?
Oh, I hear you now.
Yeah, wait, let me see.
Oh, he's got it.
Here we go.
He's got it working.
I'm on the soundboard, bitch.
He's on the soundboard. Man is on the soundboard. Man is about to blow up my raw storage because now we're recording 3 fucking audio instead of 2. Blasting my hard drive. Okay, it's going well. I like it. Okay, it's a bit much.
There's a little bit of a delay on it. So what I'm doing right now is taking my failure from last week seriously. I have the soundboard hooked up to my desktop, and I have my Bluetooth keyboard that I'm using to trigger the sound effects. So I'm sitting on my couch right now, but that's coming through my desktop. I'm recording through my work laptop again.
But the Bluetooth keyboard makes it for me.
It's the thing is there's just a little bit of a delay on it, so that's kind of frustrating. So I'm pressing it, I'm not hearing it for a solid extra second.
Like a full second?
Yeah, it's like a whole second.
Damn, I mean, you sound like you're doing it pretty well so far. So I mean, I guess you're incorporating just an internal delay, and I mean, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I wonder if it's actually I'm just hearing what you're hearing. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of delay coming through just from Zoom, and I'm hearing it late, but it's actually happening on time.
Yeah, it definitely is happening on time pretty well. You are definitely very good at already. I know you've had maybe not much practice at all, if at any, but you already sound like you're pretty good at incorporating exactly the right delay onto the soundboard. Sound like you're doing pretty good. Bada boom. All right, let's try this. Then this is the weekly flyby. We got wings this week, bitch.
Yeah, I was wondering where did that come from?
We got wings this week. I've had a Red Bull today. Bada bing. That's where it's from.
Hey, what kind of Red Bull?
Just the normal. But I've also had another energy drink. I'm not about to just review the normal Red Bull, if that's what you were wondering.
I had a sugar-free Red Bull today. So
sugar-free Red Bull is pretty dope. I like it a lot. I would buy it more if it weren't expensive.
Is it more expensive than the regular Red Bull?
No, but yeah. It's not more expensive than the regular Red Bull. It's the regular Red Bull. It's a problem.
Basically, yeah. I wish they had more sugar-free flavors of Red Bull than just sugar-free original, because some of their flavors are just really good.
At some point they will. They either will themselves or they'll buy someone that will. I'm gonna roll this into my energy drink, because this energy drink I saw today, I did not know that you were gonna pull up an energy drink review, but I have an energy drink that I saw browsing the wonderful shelves at Walmart today. I found an energy drink of which I am sending to you now that is as if the Monster mainline flavor made a mango flavored Monster. And I'm not talking about Rain, because Rain is a completely different flavor than normal Monster. I'm talking about Bucked Up Energy. Bucked Up energy with a buck on the front with giant antlers. Mango Tango flavor. I'm not sure if this is the main line or not. They also had a bucked up, it's called Rocket Pop, which looks like their USA flavor. And I'm sending you that now because it's got a fucking American flag on it. I just have to guess. But this, honestly, this thing has 300 milligrams of anhydrogenous caffeine in it. And just smelling from earlier, I probably took me an hour to sip on it from 1 to 2 p.m. as I was desk slaving for the day. It just smells like as if the normal Monster mainline brand decided to start doing flavors, but stick with the original Monster flavor, which I don't really think they did. I mean, the tea flavors kind of close, but most of the assault is pretty good. They had some of the early like spin-off flavors like assault and the yellow one, which was like, I don't know if it was KH or chaotic or something. They had a yellow one that was pretty good. They had the low carb one, which I never liked because I was like 12 and that wasn't fun at that point. But yeah, this bucked up energy, canned and produced in American Fork, Utah, which is between Provo and Salt Lake City. Shout out to Utah for giving me COVID. Really appreciate that. Yeah, there we go. There's a gun. On the can, it says mango with pineapple and passion fruit flavor. I would attest to at least the pineapple. I actually flipped that around. I'd say it's more passion fruity smelling than pineapple. It says there's a tea cream, like, yeah, it says on the can tea cream. But it says dynamine. It has dynamine in it. Dynamine is a trademark, and tea cream is a registered trademark. So they're basically putting creatine, but like tea flavor, into the drink. And dynamine, which I don't know, man. They're gonna eventually go out of business like Bang, and this is what they're doing to try and not do that. But yeah, Compound Solutions Inc. is what they're basically putting hormones in energy drink, and it was manufactured exclusively for DAS Labs, DAS Labs, in American Fork, Utah. That's the parent company. But yeah, we got a lot of weird shit on the can. And it says on the can, when you feel it, you just got fucked up. It says on
I like
the can
that. That's a good one.
In orange. They've got an Instagram tag, a hashtag for Twitter, and buckedupenergy.com. I'm a fan. I like Bucked Up Energy. I want to see more flavors, but all Walmart had was Mango Tango and the Rocket Pop red, white, and blue shit. I was not going to buy that. They also had a white can, which was Cotton Pop. Also, all these are zero sugar. Actually, no, I should send you this. These are all for, now that I remember, these are all for, okay, that's fucking stupid. They had a white can, which was sour gummy, and they also had another white can, which was cotton candy. I just went with the Mango Tango because I felt like that was probably going to be the best one. But I do like these cute little pixelated bucks that are a different art style in the can. I feel like I kind of want them to stick around for a bit. I don't think they will, but I hope they do. There's also
so you think?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, you think they're bringing something original to the table here?
I say they are. I mean, I think that if I were to really try to get into the flavor, I would say that it's as good as most of the Ghost energy drink stuff, but it has zero sugar. And it tastes fairly close to the original Monster flavor on like a level of like, I don't know, taurine and carbonation, which I actually like the original mainline Monster. I know a lot of people don't. And a lot of people got into the Monster when it was like the zero sugar, the white Monster, and then the more flavors. But I like the original Monster flavor. And I think they did a good job of keeping it zero sugar. And I wish it was $2 or less. But I think at Walmart it was like $2.38 or something. And I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I'm willing to try one can, but until they get to $2 or less, then I'm not going to be a regular customer.
Yeah, thanks Biden for that one. I'm interested in this sour gummy flavor. That I don't know if I've ever really seen. I've seen cotton candy before. I know Bang has a cotton candy
Yeah,
and
everyone has
Rain.
cotton candy or a strawberry,
Yeah,
one of the two.
yeah. I mean, those are pretty distinct. I don't know if you can just lap them together like that, but
I mean, they're pink.
uh, good point. The only other gummy flavor that I've seen is that Rain has a white gummy bear flavor, so and I really like that one
Yeah,
actually. I don't like too much Rain, but that white gummy bear is just incredible. So I'd be interested to see what this sour gummy tastes like, and it sounds like Bucked Up. They're doing a pretty good job. I've seen them on like the energy drink subreddit, but I haven't seen a can in real life yet. But that's also because I live in fucking Alabama, so.
got to go to the Walmart. Got to make a venture on down to the Walmart and
No,
maybe see if
I've
it's
gone
there.
even when I used to go to Walmart more frequently, which actually I haven't been to Walmart in oh boy, at least 3 or 4 months now. But even when I used to go to Walmart more frequently, I never saw Bucked Up. Um, but I do like their name too. That's a
They
good one.
they may be very new because I also have not seen. I don't go into Walmart all the time, but I maybe go once every month or every other month, at least to go and get really cheap shit. Today it was to get gumbo stuff and to just kind of venture over there and see if they're gonna see what the energy drinks section is. Seems like Alani's really sticking around. Seems like the Mountain Dew energies are dying off because I have not seen the Baja Blast energy drink, but I see all the other ones, which like I don't
Right.
care about any of the other ones. So
That's just because Baja Blast is a seasonal thing. Like they bring it out for the
wow,
summer.
that's
All the
fucking
Baja
stupid.
flavors.
That's fucking
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah, it's dumb.
Good job, Monster. Good job, or not Monster, Mountain Dew. Um, I Bangs. I think their section is dwindling. Not surprising. Um, but I've seen the Bucked Up today. I saw the Bucked Up today. Actually, no. I meant to say this earlier. I did not see the Bucked Up in the section with all the energy drinks. Remember the one time that you said where the C4 was? The C4 energy in like a grocery store? It was like buy like supplement stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's where this was. That's where the Bucked Up was right next to the C4. So they're really advertising this as like a supplemental thing. And I don't care. But I saw the Bucked Up can. I saw the big buck on it. I'm like, I saw the energy on it. I'm like, yeah, this is happening. This is definitely happening. But was the C4 also like 300 milligrams of caffeine?
I think C4 is only 200.
Why did you not like the C4 again?
So C4, they have some ingredient in most of their drinks that's called like beta alanine or alanine,
Okay.
beta alanine, and it's good for like sometimes you'll see it in pre-workouts because it's good for keeping you active. But if you're like sitting at a desk all day or just like sitting down or something, it'll make you feel like weirdly itchy and it's just uncomfortable.
Okay, I've got the can right next to me, and beta alanine is the third most popular ingredient in the can. I didn't feel itchy though. Like I did not feel like extra itchy. And I'm typically one to get either maybe itchy on my forearms just because they get the most sunlight, versus like maybe restless leg syndrome, which is kind of tangential to that. I have not gotten that all day. Is that
Well,
like a
did you at
proven
least
is that proven in like
it's
a paper or something with the itchiness?
okay, I'm not looking up fucking scientific
Well,
papers
why
about
did you
energy
just get
drinks like that.
itchy? Is that what you're saying? You
No,
just
I
got
mean I've
itchy?
read it's happened to like a good amount of people. Like it's a well-known effect, and it's not even like it's not like mosquito bite itchy. It's just it feels like your arms start to get a bit warmer, and you kind of want to graze them in some kind of way. But you didn't feel that?
Um, no, I wouldn't say I did. Not really. I also sipped it over like the course of an hour because I was just desk slaving away. So yeah, I never had the itchy thing, but
Hmm.
yeah, I can kind of see why this was right next to C4 because they're probably not that much different. It
Well,
also
maybe you'll like
has
C4 more than I did then.
It also says it has Korean red ginseng in it. I find that funny.
Who- How is that different than like regular ginseng?
Probably is not. It's red. It's red. It's real. It's red color. Yeah, gunshots out to Bucked Up. I also wanted to say in this can, on the top, where it says like zero sugar or like some L-creatine or something that's in it. The O in zero has a line through it, like the Nordic O. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Yeah, I know
Norwegian
what you mean.
O. Yeah, I'm not sure why they do that. There's like this isn't like a Norwegian can or something. It just has a buck
Well,
on it.
some people just do that to make sure it's differentiated from like the letter O. So, it's just like a stylistic choice to make sure people can read it right.
How do you say that O? Can you pronunciate that O? The O with the line through it?
Okay, I'm gonna give it my best shot. O.
Can you do the clapping thing on the soundboard? No, the clapping. I said the
So
clapping.
I only have the gunshot loaded in right now because I
Okay,
didn't know if it was gonna work, and I didn't want to like spend time like making it, doing all this work for it, and then be as disappointed as I was last week when it just wasn't working.
That's fine. Yeah, I've heard it like pronounced like UH, like as a guttural like zero sugar. But yeah,
Um,
that's my review on Booked Up, and I dig it. It's like decent, but if you itch from drinking this, then don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it, especially at the fucking stupid American flag one.
All right, so you got to give your Bucked Up a slap a number on that. What do you got for it?
I'm gonna give this mango. I don't know why they call it mango because it definitely, when you smell the top of the can, it smells more like just a nice passion fruit, mango, and pineapple blend. It's like it's just like a nice blend of all the nice smelling fruit. I would call it Fucked Up energy, good fruit aroma. And if they did that, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But calling it Mango Tango, I give it a low 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's still a good score.
I take it seriously. I don't know where
Yeah.
the tango is. What's a tango? Is a tango a fucking passion fruit? Because I don't know. They called it mostly mango, but honestly, no. It's like a pineapple passion fruit sort of thing. I mean, I'm smelling it after drinking it like hours ago, and I'm like, I'm smelling a solid passion fruit pineapple mix. There is not a mango to be seen or smelled. It smells really good, man. They should make candles out of this shit.
I feel like I can hear you like huffing your energy drink.
You probably can. It's really close to the mic. I'm not really taking an effort to like not get really close to the mic and smell it. So what was your energy drink today that you wanted to seasonally review?
I'm sending it to you right now. It only pops up around this time of year.
Is it pumpkin spice? Pineapple spice?
No, fuck you. No. This is our favorite brand that is, run by our favorite Instagram fitness influencer, Alani.
No. I hope this is a negative review.
No. So you remember when you had that one purple Alani Nu and you thought it was going to be like some kind of cosmic taste, but it was just like grape?
Yes.
So I think I brought this one up at the time, but maybe I didn't. But it's another purple can, but it has like a green apple dipped in some caramel on it with a witch holding it because it's called Witch's Brew. And that's the flavor of this drink, is the caramel apple flavor. And it reminds me, this is a really good one. It reminds me of, my favorite Halloween candy back in the day was, what the fuck is this?
Sorry, go on. I'm going to bring it up later, but not
yet. My favorite Halloween candy back in the day was those caramel apple pops, where like they had like the green wrappers, and it was, a sour apple flavored lollipop with some kind of like caramel coating around it. That was my favorite Halloween candy back in the day.
Yeah.
If anybody gave me that, I was like, you're a fucking G, bro. Like, I appreciate this. You're not giving me a fucking Three Musketeers. You're really up in the game here.
Yeah. Disrespect to Three Musketeers, but
bro, fuck Three Musketeers. That is the worst chocolate on the market.
There are way worse. There are way
okay,
worse.
Name two.
Almond Joy and
fuck all. No.
Almond Joy is not a chocolate. It's a coconut with chocolate around it. All right, fine. You want me to name just chocolate, like the top tier chocolate brands that are worse than Three Musketeers? I'll do it. Number 1, Snickers. Dog shit. Bottom of the barrel. Fucking Walmart tier chocolate. Number 2, I'm having I don't know. I don't remember a lot of chocolates off the top of my head. Reese's Cups are really good. Milky Way, I really love. Underrated. Take 5, or what's it called?
Oh yeah, Take 5,
those
dude. I haven't seen those in so long.
I love
They're
Take
good.
5s. Yeah, those are solid. Yeah. But Three Musketeers, I would probably say are like equivalent to Butterfinger. Butterfinger does what it does pretty well. There's another Milk Duds. Milk Dud dog shit. Dog shit. Milk Duds suck balls.
No. Milk
Get
Duds.
out of here.
Okay,
you're gonna defend Milk Duds.
So you actually name dropped 2. I understand how somebody could not like Milk Duds, because your problem with Milk Duds might be kind of like my problem with Butterfinger, where it's a texture thing. It's like I do not want that like kind of crunch in my chocolate. I eat a Butterfinger and I just feel disgusted with myself. Like, it's just the worst feeling in the world. Milk Duds, because it's basically just like slightly chocolate coated caramel, and if you try and just bite into it right away or something, you're gonna fail. It's not gonna work. So I can understand why somebody would not like Milk Duds.
All right. I'm gonna interject. That's not why. Milk Duds, the texture stinks, and the crunchiness of like the grain inside, I hate it. But Butterfinger, I like it, and I know that they're very similar, but I don't care because Butterfinger tastes good. Milk Duds don't.
There's no crunch in Milk Duds, dude.
Yeah, there is.
No, there's no crunch in Milk Duds.
All right. Anyway, the chocolate that I would replace with Milk Duds, M&Ms. M&Ms stink. M&Ms.
Okay.
M&Ms stink. So I got a list. Twix, I like Twix a lot. Twix probably like near the top for me. Milky Way also probably near the top, like just under Twix. Three Musketeers, solid, like decent, light to decent 7, like in the chocolate standings. Snickers, mid tier. M&Ms, they stink. M&Ms stink. They're just like shittier Skittles. Junior Mints are probably like near the middle too. Payday. Who the fuck eats Payday? Nobody. That's who. Kit Kat. I actually like Kit Kat. I'm a fan of Kit Kat. That's a controversial opinion to some, but I actually am a fan of the wafers and the chocolate together. Hershey's, mid tier. Hershey's is mid tier. The alternate flavors though, the white chocolate Hershey's, underrated. I will say that, underrated. Reese's Cups. I like Reese's Cups. I like a lot of chocolate because I'm a fat man. That's why. Give me a gunshot again. There we go. You've noticed that I was going to say that I probably like most of these.
I mean, I think you're right for the most part on a lot of these. I'll admit M&Ms are just extremely underwhelming.
Bland.
Yeah, there's just nothing going on there except, dude, M&M's minis. I fuck with M&M's minis.
What are M&M's minis? I actually don't know what M&M's minis.
It's like take an M&M, but like make it like a third of the size.
Is that it?
Yeah. So the whole thing going on there, and why I think minis are so much better, is
I actually agree.
It changes the ratio of like that candy shell to chocolate core. Whereas with the original M&Ms, it's like there's a little bit of the shell, and there's just so much like bland chocolate in the middle that you just basically get like bland chocolate with a slightly crunchy shell, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of lame. Minis, because like the proportion of bland chocolate is so much lower that that crunchy candy shell gets to shine, and it's a completely different product. It's just so much better.
You ever get those tubes of M&M Mini that I just sent you?
Yeah, yeah. I used to fuck with those back in the day.
Those are mad. I love those. Those were unique and solid. Now here, on the other hand, is something disgusting. No, never ever fucking get this shit out of here, out of my caramel fudge ice cream. Get these M&Ms mini. But I love the little tubes of M&M minis. I completely agree with what you said. But anyway, you gotta give me the review of the Alani's chocolate of caramel fudge. I completely threw you
Uh,
off. I
yeah,
apologize.
it's caramel apple, not caramel fudge, but it's like that lollipop, but it's not as sweet. I want to say this is a zero sugar drink, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. I just had one this morning, and what it loses in that sweetness, it makes up for in how crisp it is. It's like this is the
Hmm.
perfect fall time energy drink for me. All you fucking pumpkin spice people, you need to just like go to a park or something where I won't see you. I don't know. I don't want to say anything mean to anybody, and I want to wish everybody good things. So go to a park. But you know, it's caramel apple, Alani Nu, witch's brew. I'm slapping a solid fucking 8 out of 10 on this one, man. I dig it.
Okay.
I'm in for it.
All right. That's pretty high praise for this. I admit that like nowadays I kind of like look at the section of energy drinks and I see Alani and it just kind of blurs into one section of branding, and I don't ever look at the individual drink flavors. Would never do it. Would just see the wall of like the two Alani can colors, which is like the dark purple and the bottom like ribbon of teal. Would never look at a can. I may have seen this in person, and I just thought that it was the normal like flavor that I drank one time because I'm so disgusted with the brand after learning about it and having one sip of it, and big shame. But what I sent you while you were talking originally was a 4-pack of a brand that makes taffy apples. The brand is called Affy Tapple because that's just a brand name. And I'm not sure if this is Chicago centric or not, but I feel like around Halloween time, whenever I was in high school, my mom would bring back 6 taffy apples by this brand. Actually, maybe 4, and me and my brother would just eat them until we got tired of taffy apples for the season. But you know, once fall comes around, everyone's chowing down on them. They're delicious. One time, probably 2019, they made a beer of taffy apples, and oh my god, this beer is so on the nose of like I would say probably it's like 50% nut, 30% caramel, 20% apple. My first question when I saw this was, why didn't they make this cider? I mean, like maybe your profit margins, but that's a stupid reason. This would be way better as a cider. My opinion, just dropping it.
I think that's a really good take. I don't know why they would make this a beer instead of a cider if the whole base is apple. Like it would
Yes.
it seems like it would work way better as a cider.
But it tastes just way more like the nut. It tastes really. I mean, they must have put way too many peanuts in every single cask because it just really is more like a peanut beer with hints of caramel and apple. My biggest takeaway is that my mom got 4 of these beers. I think I've drank in both of them that have been in my family's fridge. These have been in my family's fridge for like 2 years now. Like
See,
very most likely.
I thought that's what you were gonna say at first was that like your mom used to buy the beer and it was just hanging around and you guys would just drink it. Like your mom would buy the beer for you when you were like in high school or something. I thought that's where the story was going.
No, my mom wasn't that cool. No, I'm kidding. But she always bought the Affy apples, and then at some point in the last 3 years, she bought the beer, And my brother, I think, must have taken like a sip at one point, and he's like, "Yeah, no, never, ever, ever, ever." My mom was like, "Yeah, this shit stinks," and I was like, "Why didn't they make this cider?" And then I feel like I probably have one like every Thanksgiving, probably for the last 2 years. Once go home and just by virtue have a beer at home. I'm like, "Yeah, you guys still have these?" And they're like, "Yeah, no one ever drinks it because they stink." I'm like, yeah, these should have been just a cider.
I'm gonna look for these, and if I can't find one, dude, you gotta mail it to me. I want to try this, even though I know I'm not gonna like love it. I feel like I have to try it.
Yep, just looked it up. Affy's Apple Factory Store. It's in Niles, Illinois, which is somewhere around Chicago. Somewhere, I don't know where, but it's a Chicago company. Good luck. I would mail you one can so that you can have it, and you would be hooked. You would either be hooked or anti-hooked. I don't know what an antonym for hooked is, but that's what you would be. It is a very divisive drink.
Yeah, it seems like it's just very specific. Like nothing else really tastes like that. So if you're into it, then you have to get more of it. But if you're not into it, then you're just really happy and you can forget about it for the rest of your life.
I wish that there was a way to see what the sugar content of the beer was online. There's no way that they would put it online. Also, it says on the website, it says October 2020. There are absolutely still 2 cans of these tall boys in my mom's fridge. She only ever bought 4 of them. Guarantee you the third one is getting drank in like a month when I go home for Thanksgiving. There are still 2 cans of these. But yeah, as far as the Alani, I'm not buying it. I'm not
No,
buying it. Fuck Alani. Fuck the energy. Fuck the people that make it. Fuck Alani.
I think you made a really good point that like their branding is just bad. Like I don't think I've seen a can of Alani Nu that looks good. Like the font that they use for their name is garbage. They use two fonts for one. Like the Alani is one font and then the new is another font. That's terrible.
The
There's
Witch's
way too
Brew is a
much going
third
on.
font. I mean,
Yeah,
there's probably like 4 or 5 fonts on this thing.
yeah,
If you really want to
energy
get
is
into
another
it.
font. Naturally flavored is another font. Whatever's going on at the bottom, like the 12 fluid ounces, that might be the same font as naturally flavored. I can't tell. But energy drink is in italics, which basically
Why?
makes it look like another font.
Yeah.
That zero sugar in the bottom left corner, that's another font. It's way too much going on here. They need to cut back on that.
I was actually saying in regards to the design, the can design, it seems like they're actually fairly static with how they color their cans. I've seen maybe 3 different designs. I've seen the mainline dark purple, the the alternate, the first alternate. Maybe it's a teal, and then the third alternate is a white can. But I actually think that they have a fairly good brand cohesion on their cans. I don't even think their can design is bad. I think the colors that they use, their color palette, is very good. I think it's very visually appealing, and I think you kind of have to have that for any energy drink to blow up now. I will say in regards to this, Zoa is blowing up now because Black Adam is in theaters. Everyone, please go see this Marvel movie. This DC, yeah, don't see it. Shazam is way better. But I think their can design, like the graphic design's pretty good. Maybe aside the fonts, but I mean everything else. I like that they use the same green for their Apple versus like the energy backdrop. I like a lot of the design that they're doing. I just think the direction may be poor. I think the brand cohesion is pretty good, but it's just like fuck you, Alani. Fuck your influencers. Fuck your drink flavors. It's like all the meat and bones of an energy drink are bad. The style is really good. So it's like an
See,
anti-energy drink of what you want.
I mean, I guess that's in part how you can kind of tell it comes from somebody who got their start on Instagram or whatever, where maybe it's visually appealing to a lot of people, but the substance is not there.
Yes.
I still disagree. I think you make a good point in that the color palette is really attractive, but I just think there's way too much happening on this can. Like it looks like a fucking cereal box, man. I I
They
like
should get rid of the apples. They should get rid of all the apples that aren't in the hand of the main focus. They should just
yeah,
cut those out and get rid of
cut
the
those.
stupid little stardust star images. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, cut the
Get rid of
apples, get rid
those.
of all of these extra effects happening, maybe standardize some of these fonts, and you would have a way better can.
Some fucking graphic design student just had an orgasm all over this can. Like the fingernails, the rings on the hands. Who did this? There's so much shit going on. It's unreal. Even the ribbon, the top ribbon with the caramel like drippy. I mean, that's supposed to be beer foam, but it's caramel foam. The bottom ribbon of being teal, like just some design student did this, and I would love to punch them in the throat.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I
But
still think that
slap a number on it. You actually no, you already did. You said 8.
yeah. I was just gonna say I think the best looking cans tend to come from big surprise on this one. Red Bull and Monster. I think they have the best looking cans every time.
So you're saying Monster specifically instead of Rain?
Yeah, Rain looks like something you would get for $1 at like the dollar store, you know. That's
Oh, I
that's
know what
the
you're talking
vibe
about
I
now.
get from there. Monster, they usually have like their designs tend to be simple in terms of the colors that they're using. They're still vibrant, but a lot of them will have like those patterns swirling around them. A lot of like, especially the flavored ones, they'll have like just different. It'll be like subtly. It's a lot happening, but it's very subtle. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, Red Bull has the most iconic logo, and they make sure to put that on the front of the can every time. And they don't
Yep.
clutter at all. It's just very clean. It's like here's a color, here's the bull, fucking go nuts. And those are the only ones that are really coming to my mind right now. Bang fucked up. I said Bane. Bang fucked up because too many of their cans look the same, and they have so many flavors that they ran out of colors to use. So that's why they ended up like redoing their whole color scheme, which is why you had like the key lime and the crazy key lime, and
Yeah.
they were the same thing but different colors. Is because they kind of had to do their cans over again because otherwise nobody would have been able to tell the difference between their flavors.
And then they went bankrupt. What a bitch.
And they went bankrupt.
No, I completely agree with you on the Monster side. Like, I think, I know I may have sent it to you twice here, but I think the cans that I really love, I think the Max design, which you have the 3 Maxes, you have the purple one, you have the green, and the pink one. I think those are they look really good. Now, I don't even think those are the best ones. I think they are very good at looking unique. I think the T ones are very good at looking unique. I think the let's just call them the Asian teas. You have your green tea and your dragon tea.
Dragon
They're
teas, yeah.
typically white cans. Those look very good at being unique. I think my favorite ones are the Pacific Punch, which is the cream colored main can with a red or pink M. That is a very, very good artistic can. I think the Mango Loco, I don't even really like the flavor, but that is a very good can design. I think the Pipeline Punch is a very good can design. And I think the Aussie Lemonade is an amazing design. That's why I probably like Aussie Lemonade so much. It's because the flavor is insanely good and the can design is insanely good. But yeah, I agree with you on the Monster side. Some of their designs, they've really gotten pretty liberal with their designs over the last 5 to 7 years, and I think it's done really well. I love a lot of their can designs. When they let some artists go crazy with it, it's really good. Now, I will say, the Monster Mule, that flavor, never, ever, ever. That shit is awful. That shit is cancer inside of a can. But I like the color that they did with that. The Monster Mule color, kind of like the copper color. That's a very good thing to do. It's a very good artistic insight. And it's tough for me to admit because that flavor brings back terrible memories.
I see. I never even tried that one because I'm just not a big fan of Moscow mules in the first place, which you actually can't call Moscow mules anymore because Russia.
Yeah, true.
Uh, so
Probably just mules nowadays.
Yeah, or they'll come up with some other kind of adjective for it. But yeah, normally you'll just see it as a mule. I'm really disappointed that the orange tea one, the tea and orangeade monster, the rehab one, you can't find that anymore. And that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you remember, like, back at we've said it before, back at Marquette, when we used to be, those few times we were all in the same area studying something. That was my go-to drink, was the orangeade, because I used to have it at that 7-Eleven on campus.
Damn.
But now it's just like it's gone. I can't find it anywhere.
Some of those
Sad.
some of those fringe drinks they've definitely cut off. I've seen, and I know you said this in the last segment, but you said the white gummy bear rain. That was at that shitty gas station we were at when we were getting sips the one day, like last Friday.
Yeah.
And
The one day.
I saw the peach tea that was there too. The peach tea is definitely still around and kicking. I don't think that'll go away anytime soon. It's probably the second most commonly bought to the lemonade mainline tea. Maybe raspberry's third, but yeah, that orangeade, that's gone, man.
Yeah.
I don't see them bringing that back. That's a firm. I wouldn't even know if I could say fourth because maybe the dragon fruit's fourth. Maybe some of the Asian green tea or the dragon fruit's fourth. But yeah, orangeade is definitely on that boundary of should we even still make this tier? That stinks. It's unfortunate that you liked it that much.
Yeah, it's just, you're right. It's just never coming back. And they already have two other orange flavored drinks on the market right now. There's like the Ultra Sunrise, which is that zero sugar orange flavor, and then there's I think the old one was the Chaos one.
Yep.
And it's funny, they're actually missing that, because the Chaos was one of the original two Monster Juice flavors. The other one, the yellow one, that was like a tropical one.
Yeah, it was pineapple one.
These
No, that thing's fucking gone. That thing's long gone.
They killed that one. Chaos, I think that's the one they brought back as chaotic or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those ones where I feel like they're kind of doing a little bit too much on the can. But if you see, to change gears a little bit, this picture I just sent you, what do you think that is? What does that look like to you?
That's a Hebrew character.
Okay. What is it?
It is
1 for 1 so far.
The 6.
You're right. So this is where we get.
I've seen this long before. I know that's supposed to be that monster is the devil. That energy drinks are the devil.
That's my favorite conspiracy theory by far. Is that
it's everyone's favorite conspiracy theory because that they have seen the one video of the woman that was describing it and she was being completely serious and that energy drinks for the devil, and people were like, "Bitch, what's your fucking problem?" That's why it's everyone's favorite conspiracy theory. I've seen it before though. I know it's the Hebrew. Well, I guess that it's the Hebrew 6. I don't know. It's very, very odd. I don't think that it bears some resemblance. The more I look at it, the more I start to believe it. So maybe I shouldn't look at it as much.
It's missing that little, like, the actual Hebrew 6. You see how it has that little uptick on the top?
Yeah, on the top little
It doesn't
stroke.
do that with the monster cans. Yeah. So I mean, it's not exactly there, but it is surprisingly, like,
Kind of close.
Almost there. It's almost there. I can't blame anybody for like, if you're already like a hardcore Christian religious person, I cannot blame you for seeing this and that. But for any listeners who haven't pieced it together so far, the monster can, like the M they use on the front, if you separate that individually, it looks like 3 copies of the Hebrew character for the letter 6. So it looks like monster cans are saying 666 on the front, which you got to think, if the devil was really out there trying to convince people to unwittingly accept the mark of the beast, you'd think he'd, reach a little bit further than monster cans.
You see where you see it? What I just
What?
circled? Look at the little uptick, like the attempt
Oh,
at the uptick. Yo,
yeah,
bro.
I see.
Now that you see that, it's over. It's for sure.
Yeah, but it's not like all the way at the end. It's still
not.
very similar, and maybe somebody whoever was like creating the monster logo, maybe they just had like a little bit too much fun with it. Like they were like, bro, what if?
Yeah, because I see it's like the same general pattern on every can. Like as far as where that uptick is, it's right in the center.
Yeah.
Because they would know. Well, no, that's too specific. Yeah, I could see him putting it right in the center instead, just as the one. Oh well, they'll never expect it if I put it in the middle. Wink.
Yeah. Like somebody was just they knew that nobody else knew this when they were making the logo, and then by the time somebody realized it, like maybe by the time that Crazy Woman's video came out, it was like, well, we're too deep in this now. Like we can't change it now, so we're just gonna ignore it.
Yeah, that's true. What you gotta do, you can't admit failure. You just gotta keep going with it. But as far as admitting failure, we've been watching a show lately. We've been watching a show. I have watched a lot of the show in the last week. Actually, on Saturday, I watched 5 episodes. And I will say this, on the very start, there is a typical rule for television shows, is that you watch the first 3 episodes of the season. And that's after the 3rd episode, you decide whether or not you finish watching it. And you have to stick with it the whole season if you say yes. I never made this decision, but I watched the 3rd episode of season 1. And if you put a gun to my head, I never made this decision. I just kind of fell off and I just said, screw it, whatever. Like, I'll probably watch it later on once all the episodes are released, but I'm not going to catch up week to week. Put a gun to my head, I probably would have said no. That's the gun. And I watched episode 4, and now that I have seen through episode 9, episode 4 is still the best episode of the season.
False.
Still very, very good. It is absolutely should be the episode that whatever stupid companies submit, because we have a high budget, give us goddamn Emmy. This is the episode they submit. This is the episode they submit. This episode is very, very good. Episode 4 is fucking solid. Episode 4 starts off with Rhaenyra. Talking about House of the Dragon. You're all watching it. Stupid bitch. Don't ever pretend that you're not. We are watching episode 4, and it starts off with Rhaenyra as a child. Rhaenyra.
Okay. There's Rhaenyra and Rhaenys. Which,
that's why I'm fucking up. It's stupid. Rhaenyra.
Targaryens cannot fucking come up with names at all. They're using like the same 3 names: Daemon, Aemon, Aegon. Fuck off, dude. Come up with something original.
Viserys, Viseron, etc.
Yeah.
Really stupid stuff. But it starts off with Rhaenyra. She's trying to find a husband, and she's going on the husband game show, and she's like, "Oh, here's a candidate. He's like 60 years old. You suck. Die in a hole." And she says next. And then the next person is like fucking 12. And then she's like, "Well, this ain't gonna do either, because I need more satisfaction here." And then there's basically a fight, and there's a guy that's harassing him, probably like mid-20s in the audience, and then the mid-20s guy versus the 12-year-old get into a sword fight. 12-year-old wins. I'm honestly saying she should have took the 12-year-old after that. She should have like turned her back, did the double take, and say, "Hello, good sir. You seem like you're good with a sword." And right there, bada bing, bada boom. But she did not do that. And then and I thought that, basically season or episode 4 ends after the long Damon basically breaks his niece into becoming a sexual fiend, and the sexual fiend has coitus with a guard man, and then she develops a guard man fetish for the rest of the show. But on this one night, she has sex with the guard man, and the guard man knocks her up, and then she, at the end of the episode, she has to drink an abortion juice, which is topical nowadays. Not sure that did you hit the fetus with that? I'm greatly summarizing, but that was a very good episode. Love that episode. It's very, very solid. Yes, the uncle to niece thing was kind of odd, but I could see it back then with this empire that is so the back then, and like maybe cross over a couple of universes. This little empire is very interloving. They're big fans of each other, and that's always been a thing. And I'm actually glad to see that it was a thing in the show, because they could have really glossed over how much incest there was within a family, kind of written in the lore from the big fat man in the sky. Rest in peace, George R.R. Martin.
Right. Yeah, dude, such a shame that he passed.
Yeah, it's such a shame that he died from kidney disease. You would have thought it was his heart, because he's really fat. Episode 5, really solid. We find out that Rhaenyra's husband-to-be is a man-loving homosexual. Really loved that. I think that was a very good decision from HBO to really empower the LGBT community from that. To say that we can have homosexuals in Game of Thrones was a powerful, brave, and enduring decision that a lot of stupid Shud fans would disagree with. But I thought that it was awesome. I was a big fan of it. Also, Alicent grows ever more powerful. That was very solid, because Alicent and the High Towers are clearly the most power-hungry people in the show, and they're probably the most efficient at doing that too. Damon murders a guy, but says he didn't. That was really solid. Big fan of that. I think Damon, honestly, big on like a overarching show hot take. Damon is just kind of watching everyone else fail and get stronger because of it. Like, Damon's just kind of chilling. And that's what Damon just does this whole show. Just kind of chill, genuflex when he needs to, kind of watches out for the kingship when he needs to. Then Viserys dies. And that's episode 8. Or end of episode 8. Viserys dies. Damon's just like kind of chilling over at Dragonstone with his new wife that he manipulated, and got a lot of dragons, got a lot of allies. Episode 6, kind of moving back here, but don't really care. Episode 6, I think that's when it becomes clear that Rhaenyra has a fetish for guardsmen. I think that's when she fucks the strong guy, and that's when she's got a bunch of bastard kids running around. Daemon had sex with the Valyrian daughter. He's definitely going very, very deep in there, and he's got a few children now. He's got a few children with a lot of people. He's probably got a lot of wives. He's a man of the people, and he's got 2 daughters that are clearly Valyrian. They have the blonde hair. They have the darker skin, and Rhaenyra does not. Rhaenyra is the opposite around. She has been clearly having sex with guardsmen for hundreds of years. Yes, hundreds of years. I don't care what the timeline of the story is. I kind of see these people as like semi-immortal, where they live to be 150. And Rhaenyra has been having sex with all of these guardsmen for like a long time. I also don't know why Viserys and Daemon are like the same age bracket of the tree, but Viserys ages like shit. He must have like ultra cancer, and Daemon's just
Yeah.
like a Daemon's like rubbing lotion on his skin, rubbing dragon cum on his skin like every single day as like a soothing like skin cream. And he's just living to be very long, and he looks really young. I don't know if it's an acting decision or not, but he
Yeah.
looks
No,
really good for
I'll
his age.
I'll interrupt just for a second there. And there's a shot in one of the early few episodes, somewhere between like 1 and 4, I want to say, where it's where Viserys and Alicent are having sex, and they go to great lengths to show you that Alicent is just not enjoying it at
Oh
all.
yeah,
Like, she's
oh
just kind
yeah,
of laying there.
staring into
Um,
space, just looking out.
yeah. But you can see on Viserys's back at that point even that like he has
AIDS, ultra
some kind of
AIDS.
like yeah, mega cancer, ultra AIDS, and it doesn't get passed on to her
Yeah,
presumably, but yeah, he definitely has like some kind of disease, which a lot of people were thinking he was actually going to die a lot earlier in the show because of that. But every episode, past like episode 4 or something, he just keeps on
kind of just
going.
getting worse, but stays alive.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm sure they're giving him remedies of some sort, but they're really just prolonging the inevitable. I would
All they
guess,
had back then was like milk with a poppy, so it was like basically that's supposed to be like laudanum, basically. So opium.
yeah, I'm guessing that they just like it's like a pain healer, but he probably died like when he was 50 something, maybe late 50s. That's a total guess because Damon is in his same age. Let's just say he's the younger brother. Let's say
Yeah,
Damon is like max 10 years younger. Dude still looks pretty good. Like
he
this
looks
is
exactly the
clearly,
same, basically.
yeah, this is clearly like a you just got lucky sort of thing and didn't come down with a mega ultra disease. Um, I will ask, what did you think about his bed aside? There was one bed aside that I thought was probably the best point um in the actor's whole time. That he was asking, maybe it was his right hand. I can't remember if it was his right hand or not. Like what he thought of him as a king, as a man that retained peace but was never challenged. That was, I think, the not only it wasn't a turning point in the show because you can't really turn into that next point, but I thought it was a very well acted, significant scene where he's asking his bedside, like, what do you think they'll remember me by? I was never challenged. I kept peace. I I thought that was a really well acted scene.
So that was you're saying this was Viserys talking to Otto, right?
Yeah, most likely Otto.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it because that must have been a few weeks back now. Um, I don't know if you remember. Maybe it was like episode 5 or 6, maybe, or 4 even.
No, it wasn't 4. It was probably 6 or 7, I would say.
Okay, so still like a few weeks ago. I don't remember that scene too much. I'll be honest about that, but it sounds like something that is very apt for Viserys' character, where throughout the entire show, he's basically so intent on, maybe him trying to keep his family together is a metaphor for him keeping the realm together.
Yeah.
And he clearly has, his favorites and all this kind of stuff. But he does a pretty good job of just like making sure that nobody crosses the line. Everybody, not everybody, like a lot of people in his family, through blood or marriage or whatever, a lot of them don't like each other. A
Yeah.
lot of them do like each other, but have had some sort of bad blood for each other due to just the circumstances of history. And Viserys, he keeps it together pretty well, but at the same time, he never really resolves anything. So that's why later on, after he dies, it's still just like it's not so much that he did his job and The problems that arose when he was king are no longer problems once he dies. It's just okay, now the floodgates are open. Like now this one thing that was holding everything together is gone and everything goes out the fucking window.
Yeah.
And so that's like that is a weird position to be in as a king or as a ruler of any kind where you did your job while you were there. Like nothing bad happened in your rule. Like you kept everything together pretty well, but no matter what, nobody really remembers the ineffectual kings. Nobody remembers the kings
Yeah.
who are just kings in between other kings. And you can tell he's a little insecure about that, but
Very
his
insecure about
morality,
that.
yeah, very insecure about it. But, he ruled according to his moral compass. And he finds a comfort in that on the one hand, but also is probably deeply aware of the fact that once he dies, this shit's all going out the window.
He knows that there will never be songs sung about him. That's what he is mostly in tune.
Yeah.
He is very sad that there will not be songs sung about him because he didn't win some war. He didn't overcome some giant conflict. He just kind of kept it together while he was alive. I don't even know that I'm not even sure that you could say that he knows that it's all coming undone once he dies. I don't think he knows that. I think that he is kind of a senile old man and he believes that everyone will just kind of get along together once he dies and that the realm will just kind of be okay. But I don't think I think he's deeply unhappy with that because he wishes that he was challenged. He wishes that he was able to overcome some great adversity because then he would be remembered for hundreds of years. He would have all the songs sung about him in all those bars and by all those bards singing stupid songs about Princess King Viserys and all that. And that's what he's upset about. He has two things in his forefront, which is his reputation and his family. And the rest of it, everything can go by the wayside. I mean, truly, like there isn't a third thing. Like you could see him almost always bargain against any third thing that you would argue. What driftwood? He doesn't care about driftwood. Like any interfamily relationships, like no, he'll always bargain the interfamily relationships for either his family or other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point that he really doesn't know what's going to happen after he's gone. And that's sort of why he's asking that question, I guess, of like, what do you think people are going to remember me by? Is because even he doesn't know for sure what he's going to be remembered as. Like he knows that he kept things together as well as he could, but he doesn't know what's going to happen afterwards. So he has to ask his most trusted man, like, bro, like what do you think is going to go on after I'm dead?
Yeah.
Like, I don't fucking know what I did while I was king. I was kind of just here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what's going on around me?
So one of the big things that's going on is the greens and the blacks. The blacks being the Targaryen side of, I will say, Rhaenyra, Daemon, and others maybe more of a traditional Targaryen side versus the greens, which is the Hightower big side of like Alicent's Otto and Alicent's children and all of the people that are sitting around the map and kind of plotting, and they're the incumbents and kind of in control at the moment. Maybe not always, but at the moment. What side are you on?
So I actually kind of hate this shit. Somebody pointed it out on, the obvious subreddit, the Free Folk subreddit, that like this is like Twilight tier fandom at this point, where you
It
have like
absolutely
your
is.
team Edward and team Jacob. It's like, oh, team Black, team Green. It's like, no, that's not the point here. The point, like, they're all shitty. They're all terrible. They're all looking out for their own interests, and in some cases for good reasons and justified reasons, and in some cases just because they're fucking power hungry pieces of shit. But there's there's no there's no one to support here. This is a war that should not happen. They haven't started the war in the show yet, really.
Yeah.
Although you can talk about the end of the last episode as being basically the beginning of it. But nobody's in the right here. Like, this is not there's no side to pick, which is classic George R.R. Martin, where nobody's really the good guy here. Everybody has their own selfish motivations for doing the things that they're doing. But I mean, if we're taking it just purely on the basis of what should the succession be, because that's the whole reasoning for the war. The upcoming war is who will be on the throne after Viserys dies because of the circumstances of his male heir, basically. He thought for a long time that he just wasn't going to have a male heir, and that's part of why he proclaimed Rhaenyra his heir. But of course, that gets thrown into question after his wife dies and he marries Alicent, and they have male children. But at the same time, Rhaenyra has male children of her own. And then there's Daemon, of course, sitting on the side of like, well, I'm the brother, so if there's no legitimate heir, it should be me. So, there's this whole fucking mix of people who are all looking out for, well, I should be on the throne. And if I was making a decision, and again, we have to base this on, a lot of people will talk about, well, back then, it was there were no female heirs to the throne back then. It's a fucking fictional world, dude. Okay, so there's no back then. It's all the customs of this fictional world, and most of us do not know enough. I mean, the fucking Targaryens had only been reigning for a few hundred years at this point, so it's not like there's these very deep entrenched customs that cannot be overturned. Like, it's only been a few, fucking 6 or 7 generations probably. A lot can happen in that time. And even with how long these fuckers live, apparently, you definitely can't say back then, because fucking, they're living to like 50 or 60. So if it's only a few hundred years, yeah, maybe it is only like 4 or 5 generations, really. I'm sure somebody can tell me I'm wrong about this kind of stuff, because there's actually very detailed history on their houses. So don't Google it. Just trust me. If I had to pick somebody who should have the throne lined up for them after Viserys dies, I say it's Rhaenyra, because he declared her his heir, and
Alicent is a bitch. Dumb cunt.
No, and a majority of the
bitch.
lords of Westeros swore to her, and that's all it takes, in my opinion. If the king says it, and all the nobles and the majority of the nobles are like, well, all right, yeah, works for me. That's it. It's settled. It's done.
Yeah. I would say that in the instance of the show, there is absolutely room for a female heir, because there is not like some long-standing history. It's not like the medieval monarchy of, like, let's say the 1500s or whatnot. Like, it's not the same. It's like a fantasy world that's kind of similar to a monarchy, but not inherently carrying the same tropes. I will say, I probably agree, because Viserys said publicly to all his guards, and kept the same opinion for many years, and said, Rhaenyra is the heir no matter what. And he kept it even like as Rhaenyra had kids. Kept it way too long, because he should have retired a long time ago. That's a whole different discussion. But he kept the same stance that Rhaenyra was going to be the heir once he passed. And then, of course, Alicent says, oh, yeah, by the way, guys, everyone, look at me. Yeah, I know he just died, but he said, like, right before he died, while I was the only one there, that Aegon was it, actually, and not Rhaenyra. That's fucked. That's so stupid. Like, I want to ironically support the Hightowers, but like they're so stupid. Like I don't even care. Like it's not like a real 50-50 like I could really believe that the Hightowers have some high ground and have some evidence that they should be the rulers. And I mean like Aegon Targaryen / Hightower, wink wink. But it's like really stupid. It's like way worse than I think it's worse than the Jacob and Robert Twilight tier bullshit. Like it's really stupid tier, like house shit flinging of like who should be the heir. I mean, it's not even like there. I think that's what I may have said this at one point. I know I said this to my dad, but as we were watching the show, maybe like around episode 6 or 7, but it was like the second time jump, or maybe it was the first. But I said that they're doing a really good job of hammering the theme that weak leaders produce weak, like successionists. Like I think the only strong successionist is Daemon, and it's really arguable if you could call him that. I think Rhaenyra is really weak. I think Aegon is really weak. I think Aemond is egotistical and weak. Like he may think he's a strong leader, but he's actually weak. I don't think that any of the Targaryen offspring, like from Rhaenyra, are strong. Like they're just constantly like it's very similar to other shows that like the generations below become weaker and lose the morals of those held from the previous, because none of these leaders in the next generation seem strong at all. And maybe that's good acting, but maybe it's also good writing. And I just don't think that any of these guys appear to be capable of handling the throne. Aegon sure isn't. Aegon's a fucking bum. Aegon's a loser bitch with curly hair. And I think any of the older people, and I know I did say that like what's his face Viserys should have like abdicated and said like I'm dying. Someone else, please take care of this because I can't anymore. So maybe he should have said Rhaenyra, but he never did for some
Yeah,
whatever reasons. Maybe his wife Allison's saying, "You don't need to do that. Like, please don't."
right. I mean, maybe. I know one thing. I think I saw this in one of the after the episodes, which are sometimes good and sometimes extremely disappointing, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But one thing that they were talking about is that this is kind of a show, you know, you can talk about like the generations and stuff, but really it's a show about the second sons and
Yeah.
how Damon is the second son in his line and how he probably would have been a better king than Viserys if not, he wouldn't have been as peaceful of a king,
No,
but
not a
he
chance.
would have he would have probably conquered more territory and shit, or just had a more firm grip on the people, and there would not necessarily there probably wouldn't be a question of succession if Daemon was the one on the throne instead of Viserys. On the other hand, you have Corlys, who R.I.P. He was kind of a boss and
Sure he's dead?
got his head. Yeah, he got his fucking head chopped off from the back, dude. That dude's not coming back.
Well, who's the fucking guy that's been who's the other guy? Who's the other Valerian
I
that's been
think
like
that's Laner,
I thought
the
he was
one who was
I thought he
Rhaenyra's
was the
husband.
homo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Laner's
yeah,
the
yeah.
homo. Yeah, I fucking I don't want to call him the homo.
Yeah, I mean he is the homo.
He's the gay guy. Yeah.
What about no,
Um,
I thought the guy that got his head cut off was not Corlys, it was Corlys's brother. Or like
no,
maybe
no, that was Corlys.
I'm saying this, you're wrong.
I'm
You're wrong.
absolutely not wrong.
You're saying the guy that got his head cut off was Corlys. No, it was Vaemond.
Who's Corlys then?
No, Corlys was the main lord
Oh,
that
you're right. You're right.
was he was just injured off screen. He was fighting a
Yeah.
war in the Driftmark, and Rhaenys was still at King's Landing and like, oh, just dicking around and watching everything suck. And then Carlos's brother, I'm guessing is his brother, maybe it's his son. It's a male companion of some sort. family member, and Vaymond was turned and said, "You're a bastard, sons, children," and then Damon's like, "Nope, that's treason," and
Yeah, you're right.
beheaded him.
You're right. So I'm gonna edit this out because I'm never wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. So Vayman, I guess. Is that actually his name?
Yeah, Vaemon.
Is that so? Did they make that?
MOND, not Mond. Sorry. Yeah, his brother. Corlys is Vaemon's brother, where Vaemond is just chilling at King's Landing, dicking around.
Oh, you're right.
That the Valerians aren't fucked in the butt, while Corlys
Yeah.
is out fighting crab people.
Yeah. So okay. At the end of the day, my point still stands. Vaemon's the second son, and
Yeah.
he's pissed because eventually Driftmark is supposed to pass down his bloodline, but it's not going to because his son got cucked.
Yes.
Willingly cucked, but not even like cucked in like a not willingly cucked in like a fetish kind of way. Willingly cucked because he was just scared of the pussy.
Yep, that's true. They said that they tried to get pregnant, but they couldn't.
Yeah, which I don't know if that. What did that mean? Like, did that mean like he just couldn't keep it up because he was too grossed out by it, or was it?
I'm guessing it's either he couldn't keep it up or he just did not want to get in there.
Yeah.
Because he was disgusted. It's one of the two. I don't know that there's a third option in that.
Well,
I'm also not gay, so I don't know what that. I don't know what that looks
like. Yeah, maybe it also could have meant like they got through the act a couple of times and he finished, but it just didn't happen. And then after that, he was like, "Nah, dude, I can't do it again. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not
shit
going
sucks."
But yeah, there's that, and then Aemond is also the second son, with Aegon being basically the firstborn fail son who ends up getting the throne just because Alicent's like, "No, you're my firstborn son. Like you gotta do this, bro." But there's that great scene. There's that great scene in the last episode where Aegon is like, "I'm not fit to be king. You should do it. Just let me go. I'm never gonna come back. Let me live, and I'm gonna go live a life as a nobody. Aemond, you should be king." And Aemond's like, "Bro, I fucking wish. I know you shouldn't be king, but I gotta do this."
Yeah. He can't fail his task. And he's saying, like, "Yeah, I know you shouldn't be king. I should be king. I'm fucking bigger and better than you. But here you are. I'm going to fucking kill you someday. Not today, but here's what I'm going to do. You're going to go back there and you're going to raise your sword and you're going to be king."
Yeah. So the whole, the bigger point of the story is that this whole like passing down the throne to the firstborn son thing is actually kind of fucking stupid. Like there's no good reason to do it.
No, I mean, just to like always do it on a blanket surface is really stupid. But speaking of which, of Aegon raising his sword, what do you think about the last scene in episode 9 of season 1?
So there are two scenes from this past episode that some people are mad at. One of those is that last scene of the episode. The other is a scene that happens earlier on. So I'm going to start by talking about that scene earlier on.
Yeah.
This is an interesting scene where the character who has been assisting Alicent as basically her spy master.
Yep, Larys.
His name's Larys.
Yeah.
He has some information that he thinks that she should know because it would help her out. But this is sort of the first time where he's asking for payment for his services.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want gold. He doesn't want a title.
What does he want?
He wants to look at her feet.
Yeah.
And he wants to get himself off while he looks at her feet. Larys is our guy. He has the patrician fetish.
Undeniably our guy. He has filtered millions. He has filtered millions. At least 1.1 million, which by the terms of English language gets used as a plural. Millions. He filtered millions on one night of the week. How did he do it? Just want to look at some woman's feet. My man.
And so what I actually really like about that scene, this is something that some people at Free Folk also pointed out, which makes a lot of sense, is that it's not just about the fact that they're feet. It's about the fact that like this is the very pure, honorable queen's feet. Okay, it's not just your average everyday feet. So there's this interesting like power dynamic going on there, where the main thing that Allison ended up judging Rhaenyra based on was the fact that she was kind of doing some hoe shit, which like all right, fine. But at the same time, Allison ends up basically selling her body for something. It may not be in the same way that Rhaenyra did it. It may be, she didn't actually have to sleep with the guy or anything, and it wasn't. What's even worse is that it wasn't for her own pleasure. Like at least Rhaenyra was getting something out of it when she was fucking around, but
Totally.
Allison is just doing it for political benefit, basically.
Allison is far more likely to sell herself out for any political benefit that she can reap later. Like she's far more power hungry than Rhaenyra.
Yeah. It was a really interesting contrast between the two characters. Some people are kind of upset that like, oh, it turns out that's what Larys's main motivations were. He's not like, this ambitious character in his own right. He just wants to jerk off to the queen's feet. Like, no, I don't think this is his end game. I think this is just something he was like, well, I can get this now. Like, I'm too important now to not get this. So I'm going to go for it.
What people don't understand is that going into that scene, they make the film producers make it a point to zoom in on his club feet. He has like at max one working foot. He does not have 2 feet. He has like a club foot, and I don't even know if his other one is like a working foot or not. But this man has not 2 working feet. So you could probably reasonably and logically argue that he has some sort of foot fetish because he himself does not have 2 working feet. I'm sure there's a word for it. I'm not sure what it is, but it's out there. So you could look that up.
I mean, I think something that some people also pointed out about that was like, it's not clear that psychologically translates very well. Like, it's not like, every person who, or even like a good chunk of people who are in wheelchairs, like jerk off to like people with working legs or something like that. Like there's no direct correlation between something not working in one person's body and them getting turned on about it in another person's body. So I don't know how that plays into it. I think it's just a lot more of a power play on his part of like bringing Allison down a few levels and making her realize that she's not as honorable as she thinks she is. So it's like very degrading in that sense, even though she's not, like I said, she's not like sleeping with him. You notice that she has to turn her head away when he's about to get into it. Like and she's very uncomfortable with the whole situation, but she does it anyway, which again makes her completely distinct from Rhaenyra, who is not uncomfortable with the situations she finds herself in. She just does it because it's fun,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think that was a bad scene at all. I think some people who are, mad about that, I think they're off base. But now we get to this scene at the end of the episode where Aegon is, declared king for no good reason, just basically because the High Towers get a jump on it before Rhaenyra even knows Viserys is dead. So, they proclaim, oh yeah, Yeah, so Viserys, he told Alicent before he died, and while no one else was there, that actually Aegon should be king, and we're doing this, guys. You're in for it, right? And the fucking small folk, poor people are just kind of like, well, we don't want to get killed, so we'll cheer for it.
Yeah, really.
Like, it's this whole like very fake, forced display where they're just kind of there to be there anyway, but it's for Aegon more than anything else. It's for him to feel like he's king. So that happens. But what happens directly after that is that Rhaenys, who was basically being held as a political prisoner until somebody who was uncomfortable with the whole situation broke her out and got her a disguise so she could be in the crowd for that. She left during that coronation speech, and it turns out she actually went down to the dragon pit to get her dragon.
Yep.
And she arises from underneath the floor, kills a fuck ton of random ass people, and gets on her dragon and is right in front of the fake king and his bitch ass mom and all these people who are plotting against her. And her dragon roars and his mouth's open, or his or her mouth. I don't know if her dragon's a male or female, but it opens its mouth and nothing happens. And she flies away.
Bum Raiders. This is what I was talking about earlier. When that happened, when that dragon did not incinerate Alicent to a char down to the bone, bum riders. Prove me wrong. You can't.
You're right.
Can't do it.
You're right.
Can't do it.
It wasn't as illogical as some of the things that happened in like the late Game of Thrones seasons. But I think this was the first major misstep in House of the Dragon. There's no good reason to do this. There's so many ways you can have that same situation, not that same situation, but like something happening out of that same scenario that doesn't end with Rhaenys not burning them alive for reasons. Like if she would have just come out of the floor and like flown away to Dragonstone without doing that like whole dumb stare off thing, I would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool. Damn, she got a dragon back. All right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even wondered why she didn't burn them alive in that moment, because we can justify that later on. I'd be wondering where the plot's going to take that, and she'll have a speech in another episode talking about why she didn't do it and blah blah blah, and there could be a good reason for it. But why did we have to go through this whole like cringe ass stare off for her to just fly away?
Yeah, it was really stupid. It was a really dramatic scene. That's probably the crux of it, is that it was like highly dramatic. It was really, I mean, not only you can disregard all of the logical time requirements to get out of her robes, to get out of her potential handcuffs. I don't think she was in handcuffs. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. But to get the dragon out of its handcuffs, because that dragon was certainly in handcuffs. Whatever sort of handcuffs you want to describe, get the dragon out of its handcuffs, get the dragon flying, get the dragon ready to go, and then burst through that ceiling of the dragon. That takes a lot of time. You could not, now, if you want to disregard all of that because it's not show logical, doesn't line up with modern television, then fine. But even disregarding all of that, would Rhaenys be the type of person to just burst up into the from the floor of a wedding or like a crowning ceremony and like to the mass of people? Rhaenys has never shown like a disdain of the city folk in the show, like ever. I don't think she's even commented on the topic. So
right,
for that to happen was just very odd.
And you can even argue that maybe it's just like that's just kind of how all the nobles feel anyway. It's just none of them really care about the small folk. But what bothered me more than anything was when I was watching the after the episode, which maybe I just need to stop doing that because hearing the writer's intentions for stuff like this is just like, you guys, you're fucking idiots. Uh, one of the guys ends up saying that the reason Renice did not kill Allison is because she couldn't kill another mother.
That's really stupid.
Which is like, bro, how many mothers do you think were in that crowd that she just fucking tail whipped with her dragon that are dead? Like, what? There's no logic behind that at all.
I think it's really short-sighted. I think that there's a lot of people that have been saying that one scene is a major drop-off, because I said episode 4 was amazing. I think episodes 4 through 7 were fairly good. I think that episode 8 was also really good. I don't know if I would group it in with the others. Episode 9 was really good up until that one point. And that one point just felt such like a lacking. There was one scene that I thought was really good, was when older Rhaenyra was looking at Larys, or not Larys, her husband at the time before Daemon, the Valerian, and she had basically said, well, only one of us bled for this child. And then he looks back at the trail of uterus blood that was on the floor as she was getting summoned. And that was a really good scene. I thought that was done very well, shot very well, was produced very well. And then that last scene where Renice, who I honestly will say has not been a main character, A-tier character in this entire show up until that point, suddenly makes her grand entrance and flops sides from the High Towers to the true pure-blood Targaryens. I thought that was silly. I thought that was silly for her to now flop back on to where her husband, Corlys, Corlys would have been on their side to begin with, because Daemon and Rhaenyra are both the Valerian offspring, whether it's by blood or by name. Because by name it's Rhaenyra, by blood it's by Daemon. Rhaenyra to finally now flop onto that side is like not even close to some empowering movement. I just like fail to see the significance of it.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people are pointing out is that in the after the episode thing, one of the writers says that Rhaenys decides, oh, it's not her war. The fight is between these two sides, and she's kind of not in it. Where it's like, well, if Alicent wins, then Rhaenys is like her grandkids are gonna get killed, basically. Like her family's still gonna get fucked out of this. So it really is her war at the end of the day. And I can't get over that. Like, she just can't kill another mother like that, because
that's so stupid. Yeah.
Not even talking about like all the people she killed, or all the mothers she potentially killed in that crowd or anything. It's fuck, what was I just about to say? I lost it. This is a bad podcast. I lost it.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You got to regain it.
All right.
Retrack.
Cool.
Retrack.
Gotcha.
Retrack it. Entertain the audience.
Yeah. Does that ever happen to you guys where like you have like this point in the back of your head for a few minutes or something, and it's there, and then as soon as the conversation gets to a point where like you're ready to make that argument, or to like drive the really drive that hammer into the nail, you drop your hammer, or like, you reach back and it just flies out of your hand. You're like, fuck. Because I did have it, man. I did have it. What was I gonna say? That's embarrassing. That's just embarrassing at the end of the day. Hmm.
What the fuck is this? What is it? I heard it for a while. I'm like, it sounds like really medieval banging.
Yeah, no, I still didn't get it.
That's fine. But basically, you're on team Renice, not you're basically not on any team. Like, this whole stupid thing, this whole last scene was ass. You can't even be on Team Black because now they've got Renice's stupid empowered ass. Like winning, I guess.
You know what? You brought it back to me. You said the word empowered. You brought it back to me.
Oh
Because
man, that's not good.
no. Like, one of the things that I really liked about this past episode is that there's this really intense scene between Renice and Allison, where Allison's like trying to bargain with Renice and telling her, your grandchildren or whatever, they'll get, this kingdom or like this castle and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
And all these things are happening, but we just gotta get Aegon on the throne. And Renice looks at Allison and she goes, "Have you never even imagined that you would be the one to sit on the throne?"
Oh yeah.
Which was just like, that is like, if the show's trying to like really hammer things down from like a feminist perspective, that's the like key thing there, is that Allison, and they drive it home so well in that scene, that Allison, for all her scheming and power and desires, she really does never even once in the show even entertain the idea that, oh wait, the king died, I'm queen, I could get on that throne right now.
Oh yeah.
Like, it just doesn't even cross her head or cross her mind, cross her head, cross her mind. And so that was like a really powerful moment. And to just, not to say that they threw it all away at the end with, Renice just couldn't kill another mother. She couldn't do it. It's the fact that they would even frame it like that just asserts that there's like this weakness to her femininity, which is just goes against the entire feminist perspective of the entire show. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, she's basically
They
just
don't.
setting up for men.
Yeah. At the end of the day, after her whole rant about how Allison's still just doing the will of men, oh, she ends up, Renice ends up just doing the will of men. And maybe you can say, well, that's the point, is she's another victim of the patriarchy or whatever. But like, that's not good storytelling, bro. That's just not good storytelling.
No, it's good to storytell it like that and then have a woman pointed out that it's insufficient.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you.
That was my bigger disappointment with the whole thing. And thanks for reminding me of that.
No problem. I'm looking forward to the last episode. I still think that it's going to be the setup for the big war. Like, you'll have sides clearly defined. I think you'll have probably some first steps towards it. Like I had said that, or actually like that we're showing in the preview. Like, Rhaenyra's sons are gonna go in there and kind of dick around and maybe get whacked by a dragon. Who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But people are not very big fans of this this Sarah Hess character, who is a writer, and she was episode 6 and episode 9 writer, and those are the two biggest on IMDb. Those are the two biggest episodes that I think are, if you were to try and assign a rating on like what your estimated rating is, and then what the actual, like, people just do not like her writing. Big anti fans of that so far, like across the board. I would like to see the sides clearly defined on who's on whose side, and then they'll get into it on the last episode. But so there's another thing that both of us did this week. There's an album called Palm. That's the band. The album is called Nicks and Grazes, and that's the Grays. And
that's not a Nick, that's the Grays.
Yeah, that's the Grays. And it is a neo psychedelica work of 2022, and a lot of other genres to it. It was put out 4 days ago, last Friday, I would guess. And I'll put a preview of my review. I thought it was very good. I very much enjoyed this album. What did you think so
That's
far?
it.
Well, no, that's a preview.
Okay. My experience with Palm basically started with an EP they put out in 2017 called Shadow Expert. I still love Shadow Expert. It might be at this point my favorite EP of the 2010s. I have it as a 4.5. I think it's just very concise. They really concentrate in on this one specific sound that's part math rock. They've added math pop as a genre on RYM now, which I think is very uncreative. I liked the term I came up with better. I called it angle pop because it does to me seem like a midpoint between math rock and jangle pop more than anything else. And I love a good jangle. And they have their whole psychedelic influences going on in there too. But Shadow Expert EP, about 17 minutes long. Get in, get out. They completely take this one idea that they have and craft 17 minutes around that in 6 or 7 or 5 or 6, quick pop songs with good hooks. Definitely worth a listen to anybody who wants to hear some good modern guitar music that's not metal. But they've been around for a while. I guess their first album release per RYM is in 2015. Ostrich Vacation and Trading Basics both came out that year. Ostrich Vacation is kind of a demo more than anything else, so I think it's bad. I only gave it like 1 or 2 listens, but it just was not worth the time. Trading Basics, on that one, they're getting into more of what you would think of if somebody told you it was sort of a modern, weirdo, psychedelic post-punk thing, with some noise in there too. It's about 40 minutes long. There's a few good tracks on there, but sometimes I feel like they kind of just are not interesting on that release. So then they get to Shadow Expert after that, and then their album Rock Island came out in 2018, currently sitting at a solid 3.28. So it was not
That's
very well
low.
received. Yeah, not well received at all. I gave it a 3.5. I think it was very original. They're obsessed on this album with some kind of pedal that makes their guitar sound like steel drums. And they just don't give that up for the whole 40 minutes. So I can see how that could be like kind of grating on somebody. Um, and the hooks I don't think were as good as they were on Shadow Expert, but it was an interesting sound. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad I've given a few listens to it. There's a few songs I really love on there, and I do feel like it's underappreciated. I don't like using the word underrated, but I feel like it's an underappreciated release at this point. And then they kind of, were like, well, that's it. We're done. They didn't actually break up, but they hadn't released an album or even a song for 4 years. And they talk about this in the press release for the new album, saying that, they've been making music together and touring together basically since they were in high school. So it had been, probably somewhere around 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
And when you're a band like this and you're not, selling out stadiums or anything like that, you're still very much indie. Like they're not even Mindy. They're absolutely indie. It's not, it's not like you can do a tour and then go home and take some time off and write your new album and then come back. Like you're still constantly touring if you want to live off of your music.
Oh yeah.
So what they talk about is that basically they just got sick of each other. Like they had been in such close proximity and hanging out with each other and working with each other for so long that they just got burned out on each other. And they say that like basically if they did not take a break, they probably would have ended up hating each other. It was like it just got to that level.
I could totally see that. I mean, that's surely a case for a lot of bands that are not living off of their music and not, having to constantly sell out everything. Whenever there's struggle, you're not going to love each other as much.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's also like some frustration of being a smaller band like that, especially when you're. What the fuck are you doing over there?
My cat's freaking out.
Okay. Especially when you're getting like generally positive reviews and stuff, and it seems like everybody's liking your music, and you just haven't really broke through yet. There's probably a lot of frustration that comes with that, even if oh, we do our music for us. This is just because we enjoy it. You wouldn't put it out there if you didn't want other people to like it too.
Exactly.
So they took some time off, and eventually they came back in 2022. And I've kept up with the singles for this album. They put out 3 singles. First one was Feathers. Feathers starts off with like some wobble bass straight out of 2013, and I was nervous when it started. I was like, this could go really poorly. But it kicks into pretty high gear after a good 20 or 30 seconds of the intro, where the tags on it right now on the single are post-industrial, experimental rock, and neo psychedelia. So there's not any kind of math tag on here until the secondaries. I even think I thought for a while that Deconstructed Club was a secondary on here, but it's looking like it's not. Maybe somebody put that on the album when the single came out because they were thinking it was all going to sound like that, and kind of just didn't. But it's a lot more daring than a lot of what they've done before that. They're still doing on the drums, Hugo Stanley. I'm pretty sure that's his name. He's absolutely an underappreciated drummer working in rock music right now, because probably just because he's not playing super fast a lot of the time, but to keep up with the rhythms that this band is going with, you gotta and to be as tight as he is on it, people gotta appreciate that more. Like he's putting in a lot of work there. After that, they come out with Parable Liquors, which gets a lot of Animal Collective comparisons on the vocals, which is fair enough, I think. Parable Liquors ends up being maybe one of my least favorite songs on the album, which is not a bad thing because I do think this is a great album. I'm gonna say it's not just a pretty good album. I think it's a great album. So you already know this is gonna be somewhere 4 or above for me. Um, it's just it starts off on a wrong turn, and maybe this is a point where I can start talking about the structure of the album as a whole. It seems like a lot of this is organized in terms of some kind of like suites almost, where I can't say that Touch and Go, the first track, and Feathers, the second track, are part of the same, or like the same song. Like they're not even the same piece, but they're clearly meant to go together. Like it wouldn't make sense if you separated those two, in my opinion. Like I can listen to Feathers on its own because it's a single and it's crafted towards that, but they're meant to work together. And I think a similar thing happens from track 4, Eager Copy, to track 6, On the Sly. Maybe even track 7 and Chairs on there, where that's meant to be one sort of experience. And maybe Away Kit to and Suffer Dragon to Mirror Mirror, that's one thing. And then the last 3 tracks, Glen Beige, Tumbleboy, and Nix and Grazes, are their own thing. Parable Liquors doesn't really fit in anywhere on here, I don't think. I don't dislike it as a song. I just feel like maybe the album would have flowed better without that. And I feel like I'm supported in that just because Parable Liquors is the only song that uses that same pedal that they were using on Rock Island, where the guitar sounds like a steel drum. So maybe that was just crafted around that time. They reworked it for the new album. I can't say for sure. I just think it doesn't really fit very well here. Here's where I get to the song.
Okay.
The song. On the Sly.
On the
Watch
Sly.
this.
Okay.
Watch this. Watch this. Song of the year.
Damn. He has said it. I'm waiting for a soundboard thing. Gunshot. Okay. Gunshot. On the Sly.
Those were good gunshots. Those were like
happy gunshots.
4th of July gunshots when you don't have any fireworks, but you have guns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I am so happy with this song. This song, On the Sly, this is like I think this is just the best song they've written so far. Not because it hooks me as well as something like Walkie Talkie from Shadow Expert, or is as original as something like Feathers here. But that beat switch in the middle of On the Sly is fucking butter, dude. It is so smooth. It kicks me every time where I'm like, they fucking did that shit. They did it on the Sly, man. They did it.
They did it on the Sly.
It's I think it's a song of the year. I don't have, I can talk about Pomeranian Spinsters, maybe like my number 2 at this point, but fucking On the Sly, dude.
Whoa. He's done said it. He's done put it there. This is a very good song. Right? I totally agree. You were talking about the Anco influence on Parable Liquors, and I will say, I was going to talk about Anco on that song, but On the Sly, it's just as apparent. And it hits it hits even better notes than it does in Parable Liquors.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think Parable Liquors On the Sly is, on the one hand, it kind of sounds like, at least before that beat switch comes in, I feel like it could fit in on Trading Basics from 2015. Yeah. So like it's that same kind of sound they were going for there. But one of the things that they also talked about in the press release for Nix and Grazes is that it's a very disjointed album. Like there's a lot of different sounds going on, a lot of different palettes even. And I don't think they would have done something as daring as On the Sly on Trading Basics, and I don't think they would have done it as well if they had tried to do it on Shadow Expert, and it absolutely would not have fit in at all on Rock Island. But they're taking pieces of that, of all of that, and bringing it forward and putting a new, like a fresh coat of paint on it, and it ends up just being like this amazing pop song on the one hand that is still completely true to Palm's identity and just has that fucking smooth as butter beat switch, man. Like I cannot believe they did that. It every time I'm like, holy shit, how did they do it? Like this sounds like something you should not be able to do with like guitars and drums. This sounds like something you should only be able to do with digital instruments, but they did it on some analog shit, man. And that is insane to me that it just comes off so smooth. And then
They waited to do the best single for last. They hyped this shit up. They knew that that was their best single, and they're like, "Yo, we're just gonna drop this right before we release the album, and the real motherfuckers are gonna know. They're gonna know."
yeah, yeah. And then they get into some more abstract stuff after that. And Chairs is just kind of like, I remember it being sort of like this almost glitchy interlude where, again, I would not be able to, if you played me that song, if you played me End Chairs, I wouldn't think that these guys were a rock band. I would have thought that this was
Yeah,
just an
no.
electronic act, but it fits in so well with the overall sound on this album that like they get away with it. They do it so well that it it blends in effortlessly into their sound.
Yeah, you talked about experiences as far as and shares Awake It and Suffer Dragon. That's one of when I listened to this for the first time. I listened to this album probably 4.5-ish times. The very first time, I was very strongly piqued when I heard the transition, roughly around the transition of And Shares and Awake Kit. That was my biggest first peek onto, oh, I'm listening to something very good right now. Like that's where I really picked it up. And that's not to say that
Yeah,
any of the songs before it were bad, because I will get into that to my part. But that is where that experience, I would definitely probably, within plus or minus one song, say that that's where I would define an experience. And I heard it very strongly my first time, which does not happen easily. It was very, very
yeah.
good.
I think that's sort of the experience I had when Eager Copy started because maybe it's just also because I had heard Feathers and Parable Liquors before because those were both singles, and Touch and Go kind of it works very well as an intro. It's almost not even a song in itself. It's only 2 minutes and 50 seconds long, which they got some shorter stuff going on in here, but a lot of the shorter stuff is more meant to be just like an interlude of some kind. An Eager Copy comes in and it's just this fucking heavy shit, man, where they're just making this
Oh
ugly
yeah.
ass noise. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
I am all the way into this. Like, I did not see that coming, but I'm making a fucking screw face to that shit, man. Like, I am like disgusted in the best way possible,
That was definitely on the, I think I heard Eager Copy on the second listen. And I'm not going to make any comparisons to other albums explicitly, but I have heard a lot of other good shit that sounds a lot like Eager Copy, and a couple other songs that I'll name in my part. But Eager Copy, and I will diverge a bit from what you said. I think Parable Liquors and Eager Copy as a combo is the real start to this album.
Okay. Okay. I'll try and listen to it through that lens coming out of it because Touch and Go and Feathers, obviously you can't separate those two. Eager Copy, I feel like that has to go up to On the Sly at least. Maybe Parable Liquors can fit into that, but I'll have to listen to it again to try and see it from that perspective. Or hear it from that perspective, I guess. Suffer Dragon is like, okay, we want the Death Grips 2.0 audience.
Yep. We want the Death Grips and progressive electronic audience right now.
Yeah, that was I can't tell if the drumming on that is live or if it's digital and glitched out, you know. So that's cool in that sense. I just hope it's live because I feel like their drummer really needs some more chances to show his stuff off.
Oh yeah, completely. I
And
go on.
I'll finish up here with this. Honestly, kind of after Suffer Dragon, I might be getting filtered out by like a few of those songs after that. 'Cause I don't think I get it yet. Like I'm just not there.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Oh fuck.
I am about to end this man's whole career. All right. First off, I'm going to say this, unrelated to any career-ending things. This is the last album this year that I will listen to an album which has a song that contains the word mirror in it. If you have an album, the rest of this, if you are planning on releasing an album in 2022 that contains a song with the word mirror in it, I am not listening to it. I am not listening to it. I am putting a moratorium on my own personal listening. No more albums that could have a song with the word mirror in it. Done with it. Finished. And finito. Not doing it. 0 out of 10. Not doing it. I am gonna say second off on that note. Mirror, mirror. It stinks. Bada boom. Said it. It stinks. Not a fan. Very boring. Probably what you described as parable liquors is exactly how I feel about Mirror Mirror. Completely anonymous female vocalist. Not a lot going on. The drumming that's on there is outdone, like, is lapped by other songs, like multiple times by many other songs. Exactly what you're saying. I think his drumming is incredibly good on like almost every other good song. Now I'm going to drop a hot take.
Oh,
Hot
okay.
take that you did not talk about.
Okay.
Others. First single. Most listened to song on this album by almost 3 times. At least on Spotify numbers. Feathers has 112 listens. Terrible Liquors has 41,000 listens. On the Sly, 36,000 listens. Feathers is not good. There it is. There it is.
Oh
Feathers
no!
is not good. Nope. Feathers is radio-friendly bullshit that I am expecting to be played on my college radio station in the next month. I am expecting Feathers to be one of the top songs on the college radio station. That's not a bad thing. I like the college radio station, but it is very clearly a radio-friendly song. Feathers itself, like you said, the first 30 seconds, the very questionable wonky songs, or the wonky stuff that was going on, maybe part of it. It definitely got better after that. I think it got a lot better with a lot of the heavier
Wait,
guitars.
did you like back up from the mic a little bit because you sound a little bit lower?
I'm moving all around. I'm moving all around. I'm moving all around. I thought that Feathers definitely got better after that 30 to 40 second mark. Around the 1 minute mark, you're getting little bit more of the electronic stuff, but still, none of this ever. Even to the point where you get the cosmic wooing of the electronic stuff with the female lead vocals. None of this stuff ever impresses to a point that you're like, this is an incredibly good electronic song. Never does. Never does.
Well, okay, I think that's sort of the error there because I think the drums are what push it above like the average electronic song.
The drums push it above
Dude's going nuts. Dude is going nuts on that kid.
average electronic song. Hey guys, this is better than the average electronic song. My man, that's not a bar. That's not a bar. That's not a bar at all, and you know it's not a bar. It's not a bar. I'm saying, here's my takes. Here are my takes after 4.5, 4 3/4 listen. Touch and Go is a symbolic start to this album. Very good. Thought it was a fairly good song. It's a very good introduction. It's like an extended interlude. Feathers is the one-off radio song that's going to get played all over the place by people that think that this is an amazing song that they're going to drop out there and they're going to say, this is way better than that other radio music. Ha, wink. And then the album actually can like really begin with Parable Liquors. And Parable Liquors has got a lot going on. It's got 3 major things going on. The drummer, number one, is killing it on the song. The drummer is destroying the entire world on the song. The drummer is 2 parts out of 3 of the song. First part is like all of the generic percussion symbols that he's going crazy on for most of the song. The second part, there is a very distinct Hawaiian instrument that's like the cymbals, like the light, like I don't know what the word is, but it's like that Hawaiian cymbals that you kind of like make when you're doing a xylophone, but it's like a timbal, I guess. It's
That's
like
I think that's what I was talking about when that's the whole pedal they're using for the entirety of Rock Island is that's actually a guitar.
yeah, that's a good sound. I like it big time, and it's only in Parable Liquors. So why do you dislike it?
No, I don't dislike it, but that's what I'm saying is that like it just felt out of place because they did an entire album with that song, with that sound 4 years ago. So if you haven't listened to Rock Island, you should definitely check that one out then.
I'm gonna listen to Rock Island when I'm on a beach and sucking down a mojito.
I said in my comment on the box, I was like, this sounds like Mario Kart Shy Guy Beach core.
Fucking
You know?
Jesus! Why are we thinking about fucking Mario Kart? Because I thought about Mario Kart too, but I was thinking of like I was thinking of other like I was thinking of the Wii Mario Kart, like one of the tracks on the Wii, and yeah, that's a nice. I like that sound, but I just dislike that everyone that's my age or variable knows that it's from fucking Mario Kart. But it's a good sound. I like Parable Liquors a lot. I think your
Yeah.
copy, what you said, is fairly sufficient. Completely different, completely all over the place, completely a lot more, maybe progressive electronic, and just a lot more wonky in general. I think Briel, I think your copy to Briel to On the Sly is an experience, and I think Ann Cher's Awake Yet Suffer Dragon is an experience. I love both of them. I think they're both very good. I will say that I said Mirror Mirror stinks. It's generic. It does nothing compared to most of the other songs on this album. It has very little purpose. It's a complete hang me out to dry song. It is very bland. Now, what you did not say in any part of your review is anything after Mirror Mirror, because I will say that 2 of these 3 songs after Mirror Mirror are very, very good and deserve discussion. They warrant discussion. Glen Beige is like a Palm crossover with Sleigh Bells album. And Sleigh Bells was a musical duo. It's known for being a very for being a very abrasive noise / indie rock band of the early 2010s that put out a few good albums and have put out albums after that too. Reign of the 2 that I'm thinking of that are the notoriously good albums are Reign of Terror and Treats. Treats being the bigger of the 2. But they've also put out albums, Kid Khrushchev and Texas in the late 2010s or early 2020s. Glen Beige sounds like it is taken, like pulled off of Treats forcibly and slapped into this album. But then Palm was like, well, we got to make this sound like our song, so we're going to do that. And then they did that. And it is a very, very, very good song. It is inherently very similar to Eager Copy. It is really all over the place. It's fairly noisy. It's really out there, and most of the percussion and the guitars, like just single chords, sound really hard. And then the second of the 2, I was very, very close to calling this my song of the album. And they just snuck it in there. They just snuck it in there right at the end. It was Tumble Boy. Tumble Boy deserves discussion. Tumble Boy is a 6-minute long song, and it does not at any single point get boring. It is so constantly in your face, so constantly a revolving door of musical styles that just never. I mean, it feels like it evolves from the early parts being a lot closer to On the Sly to the second half of the song being a lot closer to your Glenn Beige and your ear copy. It just progressively gets a lot harder during the song, and it revolves. It definitely moves from that earlier Hawaiian side, um, maybe more, I don't, not symphonic rock, but it just definitely differs from the earlier half of being a lot closer to your On the Slies, your comfier listening to the more abrasive and the more aggressive and the just harder percussion of Eager Copy and Glenn Beige. And that deserves discussion because it was honestly, if not second, my first album of the song of the entire album. Certainly up there. Very good song. And I would say it's right there with Eager Copy and On the Sly. Those are probably my top 3 songs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like I got filtered out by Mirror Mirror, and maybe I just kind of did not pay enough attention after that. I mean, it's tough. I don't want to say Mirror Mirror is garbage. Like I don't think I want to give it a few more chances before I'm like, no, this is just not something I want to listen to again. But it's definitely a point in the album where it's like, can you just kind of like get on with it and get on to the next thing at
I just
least?
thought it was too soft. I just thought it was too soft and it was too uninteresting from an entire songwriting perspective. It was
Yeah,
just it was a segue. It was a segue song.
right. And it's like a 4-minute segue song. So it's like, come on, guys. Maybe make this like 2 minutes and it could be decent. But
And how many other 2-minute songs are on this album? That's that was my biggest gripe with rating this, is that I feel like every single time I rate an album with a 3.5, the highs are higher and the lows are lower. I don't know if it's a pattern or not, but man, there are a number of just, you know, 2 to 3.5 minute songs that I am not interested in at all. By no means am I just. I think there's at least 2 or 3 of them on here that I'm just like, it's a segue to another song, and then when you add a filler song in on top of that, I'm frustrated. Mirror Mirror, especially with the naming convention that I've already said, big anti-fan, big anti-fan to the big regard.
yeah, I get what you're saying there. So you said you put a number on this one already?
I have put a number on it. I give it a strong 3.5, as in a 3.5. But I'm a big fan of this album. It's up there for album of the year. It's in the discussion. It gets in the video at the end of the year of 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 stuff that I am saying that it was significant this year. And I was very glad I listened to this because I think that I would say that it's top 5 of the year. I can't say that it's album of the year, but I'd say it's top 5 of the year. I'm glad I listened to this big time.
Yeah, I think again, definitely go back and listen to Rock Island because that one needs some love. It definitely needs some love. It's got some questionable moments in my opinion, but there's some really great tracks on there too. And if you like that whole let's make the guitar sound like a steel drum pedal, then that's all of Rock Island.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to put a number on this Palm album, Nicks and Grazes today, I'm putting this in competition for my favorite album of the year so far. Um, Nothing outside of that Angles 9 album earlier has really just scratched that kind of itch in the way I wanted it to. So I would slap a 4.5 on this. I'm ready to say that. I'm putting that on record. Will it bump up to a 5? No, never. There's just some stuff that's too
You gotta
questionable
know.
here.
You gotta know.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Will it bump down to a 4? It's possible. It's possible. I might get to a point where I'm like, yeah, the back half I'm just not super into it. Mirror Mirror just throws off the whole vibe too hard, and I can't, even if the songs are good after that, I just can't, it doesn't recover. But as of right now, I'm putting that at a 4.5. I'm saying possible album of the year for me.
I'm saying I'm glad that you're doing that. However, for me to take you seriously on the 4.5, I'm gonna say that you're gonna need to go back and listen to the two songs that I described. You're gonna go back and need to listen to Glenn Beige, and you're gonna go back and need to listen to Tumbleboy, and you're gonna need to love those songs, man. I mean, a 4.5 is that's a very vaunted group. That's a very high praise of group, and I believe that you like a lot of this. But for me, a 4.5. You also said that you didn't like Parabolickers. I don't know why you said that. Parabolickers is a solid song.
I didn't say I didn't like Parabolickers. I like Parabolickers, especially. I haven't talked about this yet, but there's a point. They do the little intro where I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of like just some psychedelic thing with some vocals that might be questionable, and then the drums come in and you're like, oh, okay, all right, that's good, and they start doing that like steel drum guitar thing, and you're like, all right, it's like good tropical vibes, like I could kick back and like drink a sweet drink to this. But there's something that I don't know if it's either a guitar with a pedal, or they talk in the press release also about listening to, I think, some Japanese folk music as an influence, and there's this stringed instrument that is making some noise that I think is what you would call a koto, which is a traditional Japanese stringed instrument that I've only heard a couple of times in a few different songs. But either they're using one of those or using guitars to emulate that, and I think it's a really nice touch. So I do really like Parabolickers. I just feel like maybe it doesn't fit where it needs to fit.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't blame you, because I know you said that it sounds a lot like their previous album, and if maybe if they just made an EP instead, and they shoved Parabolickers there and kind of maybe tried to do a more cohesive sound. But I will also say, this album is not a very cohesive album.
Right.
Like, especially not by many other objective. I mean, even cut out Parabolickers and you're not left with a really singular sounding album, or even plural. Like, there's probably 4-ish to 6-ish sounding songs on this album, or experiences, if you want to say. So yeah, it's a very wide album in a good way. I like a lot of the stuff that I hear. I wish that there were a lot more, because I'm going to be honest. I will say it. I've already said it. Feathers is a radio song. It just is, and I don't blame any indie artist for making a radio song, because they got to get out there somehow. And I think maybe a couple other songs are just nah. But aside from that, this is awesome. I love it. I love a lot of the really wonky-ish sounding stuff that isn't too wonky. I think they do a lot of good, leaning into a number of different styles, and I'm a big fan of a lot of the stuff that's on here. They did a really good job.
And so I'll probably give like a little bit of an update on this one next week after I talk about whatever album from next week. And while I'm on that idea of giving updates on previous week's albums, I have listened to Blue Rev one or two more times since we talked about it. And why does that sound better on worse headphones? Why did they I feel like they mastered it and mixed it for like the shitty iPod headphones, or like the very basic AirPods. Like,
are you talking about all songs or just a few of them?
The whole thing. The whole thing. It feels like it was meant to sound better on worse equipment, because that's what most people are listening to. And even if you look at like, I was seeing this when I was editing. If you look at like the what is it called, like spectrographs or spectrograms or whatever,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you can see the audio waves and all that stuff.
Hmm.
It's fucking awful. It looks terrible. Like it's fucking just absolutely clipped and loaded. Like Anti-Socialites was kind of like that too, but this is even worse. And I feel like they did that just to make it sound better on bad equipment. So like all those times I listened with the good headphones, I was like, and going through the amp, it was like, it's a little underwhelming. But after I listened to it on some worse, wireless earbuds, I'm like, I'm hearing things that I just didn't hear the first, dozen or so times. Like, this is not okay.
Yeah. That's I thought that I heard a lot of the better stuff on just better stuff, which I know is a lot of antithetical to what you just said, but I feel like I picked up a lot of more stuff on After the Earthquake and Pomeranian Spinster, maybe on virtue that those are a lot of the quicker, faster tempo and louder songs, but and actually Tom Verlaine too, which is a little bit off of my
Yeah.
point, but I feel like I picked up a lot more on just the better stuff.
I mean,
I
I think the better equipment opens up the sound a bit more. So especially like the highs and the jangles and stuff, and with Tom Verlaine, um, the little bends in the guitars, I think you can pick up, the up and the down of those better on better equipment. But overall, I just think I was hearing like some extra vocals, like some extra harmonies and stuff better on worse equipment, which was just like, damn. Not changing my rating, but damn.
yeah, but damn. Are are you thinking you're sticking with 4 for the through the end of the year?
Yeah, and it's because there's some great songs on there, but as a whole, I'm just not as invested in it. Like, there's not any great runs on there. There's some individual great, like, there's a good number of individual great like songs, but there's no streaks on it. I don't think.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that you've got to change it. If someone were to make an edited track list to just completely rearrange it, I feel like there's a far better way to do it than how it was released. Like, I feel like they had an idea and they just shoved it through an RNG and they said, here it is. Here is Blue Rev. And someone out there could fix it, could redo it, and it would be a lot better of a listen. I probably
Yeah.
at some point we'll try to do that. And once I finish it, I will release it. Not as my own, because I would get sued, but as an alternative playlist.
Yeah, for me, it's still just cut off easy on your own, cut off Belinda says, and automatically, what a surprise, it jumps up 0.5. But, that's just me.
Yeah. Similar to what to your topic that you just brought up, when we were in person last weekend, I don't know how it got brought up, but someone brought up the guy, the melon guy, that melon guy, and just on the virtue that I had been listening to a lot of music this year, that was released this year, I decided to look up stuff that either of us had listened to, and just as a comparison, look at things that were actually fairly similar. Were your review of the Billy Woods Messiah Music Church album? I think he felt fairly similar on that, and the Death Dynamic Shroud album that I listened to from the album was named Dark Life. He said he wore the yellow flannel for it. He said it was the most unique thing that you will listen to this year by fucking far, from the Melon Mouth himself. I would probably agree with that. I think people got to listen to that album, and I think he probably echoed a lot of the stuff that I had said about the Panda Bear Sonic Boom album. He was also a little bit lower than we were on the chats. Which he actually cannot say "get fucked." He has to say "get fricked," which is a very cuck move, in my opinion.
I was about to say that.
So what a bitch that he is. Yeah, the chats, big fan. Big fan of them. Big fan of the show. Big friend of the show. They don't know what they are.
Yeah, dude, I was so upset seeing that they were going to or they're going to Athens, Georgia, which is like on the eastern part of Georgia. Like, bro, I can't come out and see you guys there. You should have, if you would have just come to Atlanta, I probably would have, just taken the train out to go see them. But no.
I'm surprised there's a train there to Atlanta.
For Birmingham?
Yeah.
No, it's pretty close.
Is it an Amtrak train?
Yeah.
That's why. I'm so used to the Chicago train system, which is admittedly the best in the country. But anyway, you're right. It's been a bit. So this has been a weekly drive-by, fly-by with wings or cars. Solid. No, wait, we're coming back.